I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling every single one of you out. I'm calling myself out. All this talk about dreams and drive and destiny. All these conversations with love. Inspirational quotes and motivational mantras. Bright-eyed words beaten by bold-faced lies. Voice without a vision. Noise without a mission. All talk, but no takeover. Our mouths keep moving, but our feet stay dead-bolted to the ground. We reach high, but only when no one's watching. We take the stage, but only when the crowds are small. We're so afraid of the future when the only thing that should scare us is repeating the past. We like and share and pin and retweet. Positivity looks nice in our news feed. Potential sounds good on our profiles, but we're full of it. Gamblers without guts. Fighters with fake fists. Believers with no balls. So we don't deserve our dreams. And happiness doesn't owe us anything. If we can't bet on ourselves, then why the heck should anyone else put any money on us? If we'd rather choose failure than chance success, we're losers anyway. Winning is going for it. Zero in the bank, nothing in hand, excuses on empty, just freaking going for it. Whatever it is, however big it becomes, no matter how scary it sounds, going for it. But instead we sit and wait and wonder and waste away this precious gift of a life. We watch our passions fall at the feet of our fears. So I'm calling us all out. I'm calling myself out. We're all talk, and I've had enough. I called myself out 19 months ago and walked away from everything that I once thought was important: money, title, lifestyle, things. A career that started at Procter & Gamble, the largest consumer products company in the world, that started to blossom at GoPro, the fastest growing camera company in the world. I called myself out to go all in on my passion. And that passion was to take this mantra of mine called Be Somebody, that I started sharing with friends and on social media back in 2009, that we grew into a blog 2 years later, that grew into this global community, that then transformed into this personal calling. And my passion was to take that powerful term and the powerful meaning behind it and share it with the world. And today, Be Somebody is the fastest growing and farthest reaching motivational movement in the world. Together, we're creating a platform that's connecting people based on shared passion and enabling people to do what they love and make a living on it by unleashing that passion. And along the way, I've learned that the journey that we all have to take towards our passion is the same. Right? The texture and the timing might be a little different. Our steps may not be synchronized, but the phases and the places that we have to pass through are the same. And the first place is the cave. The cave. Now, I learned about the cave sitting in the beautiful courtyard of the Four Seasons Hotel in Mexico City. I was eating this amazing, authentic Mexican dinner with my friend Dennis Osipov-Grodsky, this awesome Russian dude that I used to travel the world with at Procter & Gamble. We were in the midst of this global business trip, and we were having a familiar conversation about a familiar topic, another one of my breakups. And I was sitting there talking about this failed relationship and talking about the whys and the how comes and the what nows. And he sat there quietly and listened to me for about half an hour until he finally stopped me. And he was like, "Brother, you need to love yourself." You know, and I had that typical reaction of a freshly minted 30-year-old male. I was like, "Man, shut up." You know? But then he was like, "No, bro, you need to love yourself." And at that moment, I felt this swell of emotion come up from inside my soul and start to almost pour out my eyes. They started to water up, and I couldn't speak because I knew at that moment that he was right. I knew he was right. I knew I didn't love myself, and I had no clue why. And at that moment, I realized that each and every single one of us have this deep, dark cave inside of us. And just to get to the entrance of that cave, you have to take this long, deep, dingy, dungeon-like staircase just to get to the front door of that cave. And that cave is shut close and sealed by this steel door that you have to use every single bit of your strength to start moving and shoving it to the left so that you can take one step inside that cave. And inside that cave, and inside that darkness, is everything that you're scared of. All of your fears, all of your insecurities, all of your doubts, all of your regrets. Every time someone made fun of you, or someone didn't believe in you, or someone told you you're not good enough, or they told you you're stupid or dumb or ugly, it lives in the darkness of that cave. And the only person that can turn and shine that light on in that cave is you. The only person that can shine that light, the only person that can light that flame, start that spark that shines a light that cascades over the corners and the curves of that cave is you. But once you do that, once you light that spark and you start to see that your fears aren't bigger than you are, you start to accept the things about your past you can't change. Change the things that you can. And love yourself anyway. And once you do that, you take that flame and let it guide you out of the depths and the darkness of that cave and up onto the top of the cliff. The cliff. And what the cliff is what you're doing right now. And way down there is what you really want to do. What you dream about doing, what you can't wake up every morning thinking about, what you can't sleep at night because you're still thinking about doing it way down there at the bottom of this cliff. And the easiest thing to do in life is to walk here to the edge of this cliff. And the hardest thing to do is to throw yourself off. Right? The hardest thing to do is throw yourself off. And most people spend their whole life pacing on the edge of this cliff, waiting and wishing and wondering and thinking and talking and letting that flame get extinguished by their own excuses. And just like the cave, though, the only person that can throw you off that cliff is you. Your parents might try to throw you off. Your girlfriend or husband or wife or boyfriend or teacher or coach or mentor. Life will even try to toss you off that cliff. You'll feel the hands of the universe and the lower part of your back trying to shove you off this cliff and down into the life that you deserve to be living. But the only person who can throw yourself off is you. But once you decide to let go and just go, then you're fallen. And then you're all in. And then you're ready for the path. The path. And I learned about the path the day after I resigned at GoPro. I had this awesome opportunity to speak in this little village almost called Eden, Utah, on the side of Powder Mountain. I got invited to speak to a group of entrepreneurs and these awesome, inspiring people that wanted to make an imprint on the world, like this group we have here tonight. And I got to get up there and share why I left 75% of my stock and equity on the table at GoPro to go all in on this crazy vision to build a platform in a way that no one's built it before. And not make it about selling, but make it about sharing and sparking and stoking and making people feel something. And this platform called Besomebody, and I shared it to the room of people, and I had this amazing reaction And this amazing response, and there was high fives and cheers and hugs everywhere. And it was the perfect serendipitous moment for me as I embarked on that path. And I was feeling on top of the world, really. I was feeling great after the session. I was sitting at the bar at the after party, and one of the attendees came up to me, and he was like, "Hey, Kash, I just want to shake your hand, man. It took a lot of balls to leave GoPro, man. You would have made a lot of money there." And I was feeling kind of cool. I was like, "Yeah, thinking I was, on the right path." And he goes, "But let me tell you that sacrifice is just the first step." He said, after the sacrifice comes the struggle. Then after the struggle comes the suffering. And then after you suffer, then you succeed. And he was like, "So don't freaking stop." And man, when he said that, it was so clear to me. I felt like a billion bricks hit me because I saw the path in front of me. I saw this clear phases that I needed to go through. And honestly, back then, I kind of romanticized the suffering. I was like, "Come on, baby, bring on the suffering," because then I'll just be one step away from success. I'm ready. And, I realized that the suffering is real. The suffering is real. And most people stop at the suffering because the suffering hurts. And the suffering is hard, and it sucks to suffer. So most people stop at the suffering. The word passion actually comes from the Latin word passionem, which means suffering. The word passion means suffering. People sometimes tell me, "Oh man, you're doing that fun be somebody thing. You're having fun. You're playing around. You took the easy way." No. Choosing the path of your passion is actually the most difficult path you can take. It's the most difficult decision you'll ever make. It is not easy for any of us, but it's the most meaningful, right? And there's beauty in that suffering, but the suffering is real. My last business trip at Procter & Gamble, I spent 2 months launching and leading the largest product launch in P&G history. I spent 2 months in Dubai, where we launched it. I stayed at the Address Hotel, one of the nicest hotels in the world. I stayed in a suite with a balcony about as big as this because it was on Procter & Gamble, not me. To the right of me was the Dubai Mall, the largest malls in the world. Straight across from me was the Burj Khalifa, the tallest buildings in the world. In between us were the Dubai Fountains, the largest dancing musical fountains in the world. I was literally serenaded to sleep every night by Bocelli. And last year, about a year, almost exactly a year ago, the long 2-month business trip for Be Somebody, I rented this old beat-up 42-foot-long RV, stacked myself and 5 other guys into that RV, spent my own money to drive 15,000 miles across the country from Austin down to Miami, up to Yale, through here, the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, all the way to North Dakota, California, back to Texas to speak to kids and try to help inspire them to do what they love for free. We slept at truck stops, at campsites. Nothing like Dubai. When I was living in San Francisco working for GoPro, I lived 1 block away from the Embarcadero in this beautiful building called the Infinity Building on the 17th floor. We had these amazing floor-to-ceiling windows, a beautiful view of the Bay Bridge. We had this nice garage with the nice cars and a nice doorman named Manuel, and life was nice, But when I gave it all up to go all in on Be Somebody, I moved back to Austin, Texas, found out the rent went way higher since I last lived there, ended up living 20 miles north in a little town called Pflugerville, Texas, because it was cheaper. Had a 700 square foot apartment, no furniture, just an 8-foot tall, 12-foot long whiteboard that my brother and I built ourselves because it was cheaper. We got the plywood from Home Depot, and we started to scribble all the schools and all the dreams that we had for Be Somebody, all the places that we wanted to go. Slept on the floor. Nothing like the Infinity in San Francisco. And even just 3 months ago, I literally spent every single cent I ever made or saved on this crazy dream. People stopped calling me. People told me I was nuts. People said, dude, it's time to go back and get a real job. I was down to literally my last cent. And 3 months ago, Besomebody became arguably the first startup in history to raise $1 million without a product. Without a product, just a vision and a mission and this huge community of passionate people. Most people stop at the suffering. But if you keep going, you will succeed. And then the last piece on this journey, so you've lit that flame in the cave. It's guided you out of the depths of the darkness, onto the cliff and over the cliff and through the path. And now that flame has become this raging fire, right? That burning has consumed you. It's engulfed you. And now it's not just around you. You have become it. You are the fire. You are your passion. And the last step and the last pieces of this path is this long wooden old rickety bridge between where you are and the final piece of your passion, that final place of your dream. And as you walk down this old wooden rickety bridge, engulfed in the fire of your passion, with each step that you take, you have to burn that bridge behind you. You have to set fire to that wooden bridge because there is no turning back. There is no turning back. There is no plan B. Right? Once you get to the bridge, there is no plan B. If you have a plan B, you will never execute plan A. Right? If you have a plan B, you will never execute plan A. There is only one way forward and toward that big crazy dream of yours, that thing that you love, your passion. And I promise you, if you dream it, and if you believe it, and if you go all in on it, then you will reach it. Thank you, and be somebody.